There are 3 stages to mastery in everything. Do you ever feel like your brain is running in slow motion? Like no matter how hard you try, you just can't seem to absorb new information fast enough? You see others mastering skills at lightning speed while you're stuck grinding away for hours getting nowhere? But what if I told you that you've been doing it wrong all along, that learning isn't about working harder, but about working smarter, and that with the right system, you can absorb, retain, and master anything 10 times faster than you ever thought possible. Let's get something straight. Intelligence isn't fixed, learning speed isn't genetic, your brain is a muscle, and like any muscle, it grows with the right training. And today, I'm going to give you 3 simple steps that will completely transform the way you learn forever. The first step is to rewire your mindset for speed learning. Most people approach learning like a chore, like something they have to suffer through. That's why they struggle. Your brain is designed to learn when it's engaged, not when it's bored. You need to flip the switch from passive to active learning. That means no more highlighting textbooks, no more mindless note-taking. You learn by interacting, by questioning, by engaging with the material like your life depends on it. Treat every piece of knowledge like a puzzle you need to solve, and suddenly your brain switches on. The second step, immerse yourself and apply immediately. You don't learn a language by reading a dictionary, you learn by speaking. You don't learn business by watching videos, you learn by doing deals. The brain locks in information when it experiences it firsthand. That means if you're learning a new skill, get your hands dirty right now. If you want to learn coding, build a simple app today. If you want to master public speaking, record yourself giving a speech today. The faster you apply what you learn, the faster it becomes a part of you. And then there's the game changer, the 80/20 learning hack. Most people waste time drowning in unnecessary details, but the truth is 80% of your results come from just 20% of the information. That means if you focus on the high-impact fundamentals first, you shortcut your way to mastery. Want to learn a language? You don't need 1,0,0,0,0 words, just the top 500 give you fluency. Want to be great at sales? You don't need to read 100 books, just master the key closing techniques that actually work. Focus on the vital few, ignore the trivial many, and you'll skyrocket past everyone else. But the real secret, emotion and energy drive retention. Information alone won't stick. But when you add passion, excitement, and movement, your brain holds on to it like a life-changing experience. Ever wonder why you remember the lyrics to a song after hearing it twice, but forget a lecture within minutes? Because music triggers emotion. It moves you. And if you want to learn at the speed of light, you need to tap into that same energy. Move your body while you study, use powerful emotions while you learn, and suddenly everything sticks like glue. So here's the truth. Learning isn't about time, it's about strategy. It's about rewiring your mind, immersing yourself in real action, focusing on high-impact knowledge, and fueling it all with passion. You don't have to be a genius to learn fast. You just have to learn right, and once you do, there will be no limits to what you can master. There was a time when I struggled to learn anything new. I would read the same book over and over again, highlight lines like a machine, take notes until my wrist hurt. Yet when it came time to apply what I had learned, my mind would go blank. I thought something was wrong with me. Maybe I wasn't smart enough, maybe my memory was weak, maybe I just wasn't meant to be great at learning, but I was wrong. The problem wasn't my brain, it was my approach, and the moment I realized this, everything changed. Think about a child learning to walk. Do they sit in a classroom studying theories on balance? Do they take notes about the biomechanics of motion? No. They stand up, they fall, they get back up, they adjust, and they keep going until one day, they don't fall anymore. Learning is natural. It's wired into us. But somewhere along the way, we were taught to do it the wrong way, to sit still, to listen passively, to memorize instead of experience, and that's where we got it all backward. I want you to picture 2 students learning the same subject. One reads a book, highlighting key points, rereading sentences until they stick. The other one gets up, starts talking through the concepts out loud, applies them in real situations, and teaches them to someone else. Who do you think learns faster? The second student, without a doubt. Not because they're smarter, but because they are actively engaged in the learning process. The truth is, your brain isn't a sponge. It doesn't just soak up information because you expose it to something. Your brain is a machine designed to solve problems and make connections. If you're not actively using what you're learning, it's slipping through your fingers. No matter how how many times you read it. Let me prove it to you. Have you ever read a book, finished the last page, and then realized you barely remember what you just read? That's because passive learning doesn't stick. It's like trying to build muscle by watching workout videos instead of lifting weights. You can't just consume information. You have to engage with it, challenge it, use it. I learned this the hard way when I was trying to master public speaking. At first, I watched videos, read books, and took notes on techniques from the best speakers in the world. I knew everything in theory, but when I stepped onto the stage, I froze. My hands shook, my voice cracked, and my mind went blank. Because knowing something and owning it are two different things. So I changed my approach. Instead of reading about public speaking, I started speaking every single day. I recorded myself, I practiced in front of friends, I put myself in uncomfortable situations where I had to talk on the spot, and within weeks, not years, my confidence skyrocketed. That's the power of active learning. Your mind is designed to adapt and grow when it's pushed into action. If you want to learn a language, don't just study grammar, start speaking it today. If you want to learn how to sell, don't just read books on persuasion. Get out there and start making sales calls. If you want to master a skill, force yourself to use it in real life, right now. And here's the crazy part. When you shift from passive to active learning, your speed of mastery explodes. The things that used to take months to understand suddenly click in days. Why? Because your brain is now engaged in a way that forces it to retain and apply knowledge. The world's top performers don't learn like the average person. They don't sit around consuming endless amounts of information hoping that something sticks. They immerse themselves in the process. They make mistakes, they adjust, they experiment, and they learn at a speed that seems almost superhuman to the rest of the world. But there's no magic to it. It's just how the brain works. And you have this ability too. The moment you stop treating learning as something you observe and start treating it as something you experience, your entire world will shift. You won't just learn faster, you'll retain more, understand deeper, and master skills you never thought possible. So whatever you want to learn, whatever skill you've been struggling with, stop sitting on the sidelines, jump in, take action, and watch how fast your brain catches up. I want you to think back to a time when you learned something effortlessly, something that just stuck without endless repetition or struggle. Maybe it was riding a bike, driving a car, or even using a smartphone. You didn't sit down and memorize a manual. You didn't highlight pages or make flashcards. You just did it over and over with mistakes, adjustments, and real-world experience until one day it became second nature. Now compare that to the last time you tried to learn something from a book, a lecture, or a course. Did the information stick? Or did you find yourself reading the same chapter twice, forgetting what you just learned, struggling to make it real? That's because true learning doesn't happen through memorization. It happens through immersion. You don't become a great swimmer by reading about swimming. You don't become fluent in a language by studying vocabulary lists. You don't become successful in business by watching motivational video. You learn by doing, by stepping into the experience, by living what you're trying to master. This is where most people go wrong. They think knowledge is power, but knowledge by itself is nothing. Applied knowledge, that's where the real power is. The people who rise to the top in any field aren't the ones who consume the most information. They're the ones who use it the fastest. Let me tell you a story. A young man wanted to master sales. He read every book he could find, studied negotiation tactics, watched the best speakers and salespeople break down their strategies. He thought he was ready. Then, one day, he got on the phone to make his first sales call, and within seconds, he froze. His hands got sweaty. His mind went blank. Everything he had learned disappeared in an instant. Why? Because knowledge without immersion is useless. Compare that to another man who didn't read a single sales book. Instead, he went out and knocked on doors every single day. He got rejected, he stumbled, he fumbled through conversations, but he learned in the fire. He adjusted, he improved, and within months, he was closing deals that others took years to master. That's the power of real-world application. Your brain isn't designed to hold onto information that doesn't feel relevant. If you don't use what you learn, your mind throws it away. But the moment you immerse yourself, when you make mistakes, feel emotions, and experience real consequences, that's when learning becomes permanent. Think about children. They don't learn to talk by memorizing words. They speak poorly at first, then better over time. They don't sit down and study grammar rules. They immerse themselves in language every second of the day. And before they even know what a noun or verb is, they're speaking fluently. Yet when we grow up, we start trying to learn everything backwards. We think we need to collect as much information as possible before we take action. We wait until we feel ready, but let me tell you something. You'll never feel ready. You'll never know enough. And the longer you wait, the harder it gets. If you want to learn something 10 times faster, stop preparing and start immersing yourself. Want to learn a language? Stop watching videos and start speaking right now. Make mistakes, sound ridiculous, and struggle through real conversations. That's how you'll get fluent. Want to become a better writer? Stop reading about writing and start writing. Publish something today, get feedback and prove from real experience, not from theory. Want to master business? Stop waiting for the perfect plan and launch something. Fail fast, learn fast, adjust. The people who win in life aren't always the smartest. They're not the ones who know the most. They're the ones who dive in, who learn on the battlefield, who put themselves in situations where they have no choice but to grow. That's the secret. If you want to master anything, stop dipping your toes in the water. Jump in. Make learning a part of your daily life, not something you do in theory. Because the sooner you do, the sooner you'll realize you never needed more knowledge, you just needed more action. Most people think that learning is about collecting as much information as possible. They believe that the more books they read, the more courses they take, the more they memorize, the better they'll be. But the truth is, more is not better. In fact, more often slows you down. It drowns you in complexity, distracts you with unnecessary details, and keeps you stuck in a cycle of learning without ever truly mastering anything. Now imagine if you could cut through all the noise and focus only on the small percentage of knowledge that actually makes a difference. What if instead of wasting time on fluff, you knew exactly where to put your energy to get the biggest results? That's what separates those who learn fast and dominate their field from those who struggle for years without progress. Most of what you think you need to know, it's irrelevant. It's filler. The truth is only about 20% of what you learn will give you 80% of your results. This isn't just an idea, it's a principle that shows up everywhere. Look at language learning. People spend years memorizing grammar rules, studying long vocabulary lists, and trying to perfect their pronunciation before they even speak a single sentence. But if you take a step back, you'll realize that in any language, just a few hundred words make up the majority of daily conversations. You don't need to know 500 words to be fluent. If you focus on the right 500, you can start speaking in weeks instead of years. The same is true for business. You don't need to master every strategy, read every book, or take every course. The most successful entrepreneurs don't waste time trying to learn everything. They focus on the few key skills that move the needle: persuasion, problem solving, and execution. Those three things alone will take you further than a lifetime of scattered knowledge. And what about fitness? People spend years experimenting with complicated workout programs, obsessing over tiny diet details, and searching for the perfect routine. But in reality, 80% of results come from a handful of simple habits: lifting heavy, eating whole foods, getting enough sleep, and staying consistent. Forget the endless programs, the complicated diets, the small adjustments that make no real difference. Focus on the basics and you'll get 10x better results in half the time. The problem is most people are too busy to focus on what really matters. They mistake activity for progress. They think because they're putting in effort, reading, watching, learning, they're moving forward. But effort in the wrong direction is wasted time. Now, here's the real question. How do you find the right 20%? How do you know what to focus on? The answer is simple. Find the patterns. Look at the people who are already where you want to be. What did they focus on first? What skills made the biggest difference for them? What knowledge did they actually use? If you want to learn a skill, don't just dive into everything. Find the shortcut, the core principles that drive results, and go all in on those. If you're learning to play the guitar, don't try to master every chord and scale. Focus on the handful of progressions that are used in most songs. If you're trying to become a better speaker, don't waste time memorizing speeches. Master the small handful of techniques that make people listen. This approach isn't just about learning faster, it's about getting ahead of everyone else. While most people waste time on things that don't matter, the ones who focus on the high impact 20% are the ones who rise to the top. Success isn't about how much you know, it's about how fast you apply what truly matters. Stop wasting time on details that don't move the needle. Cut out the fluff, find the core, and once you do, go all in, because that's how you master anything in record time. Think back to a time when you learned something effortlessly, something that stuck in your mind without endless repetition or struggle. Maybe it was a story someone told you, a powerful lesson from an experience, or even a song lyric that you never had to consciously memorize. Why did that happen? Because it wasn't just words, it carried emotion. It made you feel something. Now, think about the last time you tried to force yourself to learn something boring, something you had no interest in. You read the same lines over and over and nothing stuck. You sat in a lecture, your mind drifting to 100 different places. You tried to stay focused, but it felt like pushing a boulder uphill. The difference between these two experiences is energy. People think learning is all about information, how much you can consume, how well you can memorize, how many books you can finish. But that's not how your brain works. Your brain isn't designed to store random facts. It's designed to remember what matters. And what determines what matters? Emotion, energy, passion. Look at the greatest teachers, the best speakers, the most unforgettable mentors. They don't just dump information on you. They ignite something inside you. They make you feel excited, inspired, even challenged. And because of that, their lessons don't just go into your mind, they sink into your soul. This is the secret to learning at an unstoppable pace. If you want to retain knowledge faster than ever before, you have to attach emotion to it. You have to make it real, alive, and powerful. Think about a time when you were in love. Did you struggle to remember the little details about that person? No. Their favorite songs, the way they laughed, the things they said, it all stuck in your mind effortlessly. Why? Because you were emotionally engaged, your brain was locked in. Now imagine bringing that same level of energy and passion to your learning. What if every time you picked up a book, watched a lesson, or practiced a skill, you brought full intensity instead of passive effort? What if you trained your brain to see learning not as an obligation, but as an adventure? The fastest learners in the world don't just study, they immerse themselves. They make learning an experience, not just an activity. They don't sit still and read like robots. They move, they speak, they act, they feel every part of what they're learning. If you're trying to master a new language, don't just stare at textbooks. Get up, use hand gestures, make exaggerated expressions, feel the words as you say them. If you're trying to absorb information from a book, don't just read it, stand up and explain it out loud like you're teaching it to someone else. Engage your body, your voice, your entire nervous system. This isn't just some theory. Science backs it up. Studies show that emotional experiences create stronger memory connections in the brain. The more energy and engagement you bring, the more your brain prioritizes and retains what you're learning. Think about athletes in high-stakes games. They don't need to be reminded of the plays they practice. They instinctively remember them because they've trained under pressure, excitement, and intensity. That's how you need to train your brain. Stop approaching learning like a dull task. Stop passively absorbing information with low energy. If you want to retain knowledge 10x faster, you need to turn it into an emotional, high-energy experience. Move, speak, act, feel, bring passion. And when you do, your brain won't just remember, it will own the knowledge like never before. If you want to learn faster, master skills effortlessly, and retain knowledge like never before, then you need to wake up your mind with energy and emotion. Because here's the truth, learning isn't just about information, it's about transformation. Most people walk through life half asleep. They read, they study, they listen, but they do it passively. No fire, no intensity, no urgency. And then they wonder why nothing sticks, why they struggle to apply what they learn, why they feel like they're running in circles while others seem to rise effortlessly. But the difference between those who own their knowledge and those who forget it overnight isn't intelligence, it's not talent, it's energy. Tell me, when was the last time you learned something with full passion? When was the last time you threw yourself into an experience so deeply that time disappeared, your mind was on fire, and every lesson became a part of who you are? Because that's how masters are made. You think champions memorize strategies? No, they live them, they breathe them. They feel the energy of competition, the thrill of the challenge, the pressure of the moment. And that's why they don't have to think when the time comes. They act, they execute, they dominate. You want to be great at something? Then bring intensity. Get your body moving. Speak what you learn out loud. Engage every part of your nervous system. Attach meaning, attach power, attach real emotion to what you're learning. Because the more emotion you bring, the faster you retain, the deeper you understand, the quicker you master. And let me tell you something, the world doesn't belong to those who passively collect knowledge. It belongs to those who take knowledge, set it on fire, and turn it into unstoppable action. You want to succeed? Then stop waiting for motivation and create it. Stop waiting for the perfect moment and make this moment perfect. Stop wishing you were better and demand more from yourself. Because learning isn't about sitting back, it's about stepping up. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Your mind will become whatever you train it to be. You can either let it be slow, passive, and weak, or you can forge it into a weapon, a machine, a force so powerful that nothing stands in your way. You weren't put here to be average. You weren't designed to be mediocre. You were built for greatness. But greatness demands more than just knowledge. It demands energy, action, obsession. So don't just learn, live. Don't just study, immerse. Don't just hope, dominate. This is your time. This is your moment. Rise up and take it.